this. Okay, cool. So again, thank you everyone for joining today, joining our session today. So we have Professor Annie No here with us. Professor Annie No teaches business statistics primarily at MiraCosta, and she's awesome. And today she is going to be teaching us how to play a game, like a supply chain management simulation game. It's called a beer game, I think. She would explain the whole thing, and the instructions for the game and everything. So it's going to be pretty fun. So we have Professor Annie No with us. We also have Professor Nate Sharp. He also teaches in the business department. So he's here with us. Nate, do you want to say hi quickly before I hand it over to Annie? I don't think we can hear you, Nate. Okay, maybe I'm not sure if the microphone's working, but yeah, so Professor Annie No is here. She's going to be talking to us about supply chain management. And we actually started a new program, supply chain management program here at MiraCosta this fall. She's also going to be introducing that to us while we're here today. So thank you so much, Annie. Do you want to take over?
Yep. Thanks for the introduction. Okay, so I'm going to be talking about supply chain management, what it is, the new program at MiraCosta, and giving the instructions to the game, and then we'll play the game and then debrief. Knowing that people are kind of coming and going in the first part of the hour, I'm going to do the overview of the program first. That way, hopefully by then everyone's logged in and ready to go so we can play the game. But it's helpful for us to have a quick conversation about supply chain management and what it is. And so I've got a definition here by Investopedia that says the management of the flow of goods and services, and includes all processes that transform raw materials into final products. And then I've got a visual here of the different stages or phases within supply chain management. Now, I find though that using real world examples, in particular food, is a great way to understand the supply chain and all that goes into it. Because oftentimes the supply chain is behind the scenes and we don't realize it. So can anybody tell me what food item they recognize on the screen? And you can say it out loud. You can type
Oreos.
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 Yes, fantastic, because Oreos are a well-known cookie. I think like 40 billion are made every year. And so you know it as a customer. That's brand recognition, but also you probably have tasted it, eaten it at some point in your life. If not, give it a try. So if we take a look at the visual here, imagine yourself in the position of the customer and you have purchased these Oreos. Can anybody tell me, where did you get your Oreos from? So we're just going backwards in the chain.
The grocery store. The grocery store.
Which one? What's your favorite grocery store?
Stater Brothers.
Bonds, Stater Brothers. You can even pick it up at like 7-Elevens.
Target.
Target.
We use the commissary at the military exchange here.
Mm-hmm. Yep. So Oreos are everywhere. Lots of locations that you can buy from as a consumer or customer. Now, if we go further back, it's got to get distributed to these stores. What are the different ways these Oreos could be traveling the world?
Like a ferry.
I'm sorry?
Like a freight, you know, like
freight.
Overseas, freight.
Could
By
be
airplane.
By airplane, maybe. Train, truck,
Trucks.
Small truck, big truck, all kinds. So there's the distribution aspect of the supply chain. Now, going back further, before it got onto those trucks, airplanes, trains, boats, it had to get made. Anybody know how many production facilities Oreo has globally? Take a guess? Or where it's made?
Didn't they used to have a Nabisco plant over in Los Angeles? I remember passing it like on the freeway like many, many moons ago. Like, I don't even want to say how long ago, but somewhere in LA, you can see it off the 5 freeway.
Yeah, and because Oreo is part of a larger brand and they make a lot of different food options. But yes, so there's manufacturing plants in the US, but in 18 different countries all around the world, just because Oreos are eaten everywhere. And so
Go
you're going
grab
to
the chair for
see
yourself.
lots of
Go grab
manufacturing plants around the world, and those eventually get distributed to the retailers, right? Now,
Marissa,
before it can go to production, though,
Marissa, come inside.
where do you
Come.
get the materials to go into the
Marissa.
cookie? So anyone know what Oreos are made of? What are the ingredients?
Sugar, cocoa, maybe lard for the cream,
Yeah, or corn syrup, right?
or corn
Flour.
syrup. Yes.
Cracker, cookie, the material to make cookies, cookie dough.
Yeah, so go cookie dough even further back, break it down further.
Flour.
Wheat,
Flour,
flour, and
wheat,
wheat.
right? So you got to get it down to the raw material. So if you think about it, the supply chain is starting from nature and all the way until it gets to you, the consumer, so that you can dunk those cookies into your milk or twist and lick. However you eat your Oreos, you can eat them however you prefer. But that's the supply chain, is all the steps or the journey that that Oreo took to get to you. And so there's lots of people involved. There are a lot of jobs available at every step of the Oreo cookies journey, along with any other product or even service that you can purchase. Any questions at all about supply chain? And I realize, Suganya, if you could, I guess, monitor the chat. I just want to make sure I don't
Yes.
miss anything.
Yeah, I'm keeping an eye on it. Yes.
Awesome, thanks. Okay, so just to let you know what we have here at MiraCosta before we get into the game, we have a new certificate of achievement that got launched this fall. And so the required courses, sorry, that should have been an animation, but is the Intro to Supply Chain Management course. It's actually being offered this semester right now. Business 140, which is Legal Environment of Business, or like Biz Law. Business 204, which is a statistics course. That's my bread and butter. I teach that normally. And Biz 290, which is the business communication, which Professor Nate Scharf teaches and designs. You'll notice that 3 of the 4 classes here in the required courses are actually transfer courses, because oftentimes in supply chain management, it's helpful to get a bachelor's degree, but not always required. And so when designing the curriculum for this, I wanted it to overlap with the transfer courses to make it easier, so you're not taking extra classes on top of what you're already doing if you're already planning to transfer somewhere. So just also where the coursework and I guess the bonus aspects of the program is that the curriculum we're using is tied to a professional association called Council of Supply Chain Management Professionals, CSCMP. And when you take any of our supply chain classes, it includes a professional certification exam that you can take. And I have grant funding right now that actually will pay for students to take it. So you take the class, you take the exam, and now you have this certification that is recognized by industry. Put it on your resume, show it to your employer, or show it to potential employers that you're interviewing with. So it's a great like 2-for-1 deal if you're interested in supply chain management. Now, if again, with the certificate of achievement, in addition to the required courses, you'll want to take 3 electives or 9 units. And so we've got a lot of electives that you could take depending on your interest. And as I mentioned, if you are planning to transfer and you're interested specifically in supply chain management, Cal State San Marcos has a great supply chain program. I used to teach in it. And then the University of San Diego, where I went to school, also has a great program as well. It's a private school. But if you needed to transfer, you'll take your accounting classes along with the other required courses. If you are working towards an associate's degree and not interested in transfer, there are other electives that you could take to satisfy the certificate, depending on your interest, whether it's administration management, or if you are interested in really getting into the operations and logistics of supply chain, you can see we have these brand new SCM related courses. So next spring, we will have the manufacturing and service operations class. And Professor Marie Stretman will be teaching that. She actually has a background in operations manufacturing. She's worked at some biotech companies in San Diego, as well as other organizations doing project management and operations management. So she's a great resource that we have on campus. And then the other two courses we'll be offering in the future at some point, depending on student interest, is transportation and logistics, as well as warehousing operations. So that's a quick overview of the program. So things to keep in mind as we play the game and as we talk about supply chain, that this is one career path that you might be interested in. Now, a little bit about me, my background. I spent about 15 years in supply chain management, specifically in procurement. And what I was really doing was negotiating contracts with suppliers to buy things for companies. And I bought all kinds of things. I bought everything as simple as office supplies, like pencils and paper, to big construction gigs, buildings, projects, real estate, and then everything between: engineering services, HR, human resources services, and consulting, toilet paper. Like, I bought all kinds of things, and it's really cool because it allowed me to travel a lot, meet with lots of people, and use different skills from a lot of the courses that you see right here in the electives in that career. Eventually, though, I went into teaching because that's where my love is, and I think we are good for time. I'm always like a time management person. But just before we get into the game, did anybody have any questions at all about the program or about the electives or anything like that? So one more thing I'd want to point out: if you're already almost ready to graduate, ready to transfer, or almost done with your program, and let's say you've taken 3 of the 4 required courses already, you could be one course away, the 128, from getting another certificate. So that's something to think about too, as you're planning out your coursework.
I have a question.
Yeah, sure.
Are you going to be going over Lean Six Sigma in any of the in the intro, or no?
So Lean and Six Sigma are introduced in the intro courses at a high level to understand what it is and where it's used within an organization. And then in the Biz 205 course, it goes into it more deeply in terms of the philosophies and practices.
Okay, because I'm already a yellow belt,
Oh, fantastic.
so because I'm going to transfer into supply chain, but I had to just take basic business admin at the present moment just to get started.
Yeah.
I just wanted to make sure if they're going to go back over that again, just like a refresher, I guess.
Sure, that doesn't hurt. We don't, the courses aren't themselves preparing you to take the exam for Six Sigma or the black belt, but more looking at how it's used in a business so that you can see the value of it, but also get some strategies behind implementation and where companies use it. And then that way, if that's something you or other students are pursuing or already have, then you'll know what to plan for in your career and academic goals. Great question, though.
Thank you for that.
Yeah. All right, let's talk about the beer game. So this is actually a role-playing game developed at MIT in the 1960s. And the professor that came up with it was like, you know what? Let's do something interesting. And apparently when you talk about beer with students, they pay attention. So this over the decades, and fortunately now, they've actually been able to turn it into an online game. But you can play it in class, and I imagine I'll be playing it with my class as well. This game simulates a beer supply chain. So for instance, earlier we just talked about Oreo's supply chain, but we're going to talk about beer. And for simplicity, this game has 4 stages. And so the 4 stages or roles that you could be playing is you could be the manufacturer of the beer. So if you follow beer and know beer, San Diego has microbreweries and some bigger ones as well. Suganya, do you have a question?
No, actually, before you get into this, can I just remind everybody that there's a Google Doc that Nate actually put in the chat for signing. So the previous link, for some reason, I'm sorry, didn't work, but the one that you have in the chat right now works. So please go ahead and open that document and put in your instructor's name for us so that we know that you're here and we can share it with your instructor in case they're providing extra credit or whatnot. If you do not see your name on the list, please feel free to add your name towards the end. Sorry, thank you.
No, it's good timing. We're 15 minutes in. Hopefully everyone's here and can sign that sign-in sheet. Okay, so there's the manufacturer of the beer. So if you're familiar with San Diego, we make beer around here. Anyone have a favorite beer brewery in town that you'd recommend?
Belching Brewer.
Belching Beaver. I like their peanut butter one. Anybody else?
Stone.
Stone, right? They got a couple locations, Point Loma and Escondido.
Ballast Point.
Ballast Point, yep, and Miramar and a couple of other smaller locations. Yeah, so just imagine that that's our manufacturer making the beer, right? Then there's the distributor. So our beer manufacturer will be sending cases of beer to the distributor, who will then get it out to a wholesaler. And then the wholesaler sends it to the retailer, and then ultimately the retailer sells the beer to consumers, right? Like you and I. So you can play one of these roles. I think the default when you log in is going to be the wholesaler, but I'm going to show you if you would like to play a different role, like if you want to try being the manufacturer, you want to try being a retailer. I'll show you how to change your role. That's no problem. Now, the game's going to be played in several rounds or turns, and each turn around represents a week. So each week, something's happening within the supply chain that you're going to be responding to. Okay. Now, each stage has its own stock of beer cases, and each stage has a supplier from which it receives a beer case and to which it places an order. And then you also, each stage has a client that's going to receive orders or demand, and then towards that, beer cases will get shipped. So what does that mean? So let's imagine here you are in the middle. You're going to have a client, someone below you in the supply chain, that says, hey, I need 10 cases of beer. And then you will be providing a shipment based on their order, right? Now, here's the thing though. Do you have enough beer in stock to, ship out to your client? Well, that depends. At the same time, while you're responding to your client demand, you need to be placing orders with your supplier. So whoever's ahead of you or above you, upstream in the supply chain, you're going to have to place an order to say, hey, I want to order 20 cases of beer, or I want to order 5 cases, or whatever number that might be. But how do you know what you're going to be ordering? And that's where data is going to appear on the game that you'll take a look at and try to make choices around how much to order in order to maintain enough inventory to serve your client. Now, some things to keep in mind. There's a concept called delivery lead time. So that's how long it takes for something that you order to get to you. In this case, it's 3 weeks. 1 week for you to place the order, and then 2 weeks for it to get produced and arrive at your location. And once it arrives to you, that's your inventory, and you're able to ship out to your clients. Now, note, if you're playing the manufacturer role, you don't have a supplier, but you are, you're placing production orders with your staff. And so when you make it, instead of an order, you're ordering production levels. Like, hey, I need to produce 10 cases of beer, 30 cases of beer. And again, there is a lead time because it takes some time to produce. So that's some high level information about what's going to happen in the game. Questions so far? And you're also going to see these instructions again once you start the game. So I always find I explain at the beginning, kind of gets it introduced to the idea, and then when you see it, it'll start to make sense. But another visual that'll help us out is, again, as I mentioned, I believe the default is at the wholesaler level. But for instance, and someone help me out, if I'm the wholesaler, who's my client that I'm going to receive orders from that's asking for beer from me? Who's my client?
A retailer.
The retailer, right? So the BevMo's, the Vons, whatever store is selling to customers, they're going to say, hey, wholesaler, send me X amount of cases, right? Now, in terms of my supplier, again, I'm sitting here as the wholesaler. Who's my supplier? Who's supplying me the beer?
Distributor.
The distributor. Fantastic. So similarly, if you decide, you know what, I don't want to play wholesaler role, I want to play a different role, and you choose to be the distributor, everything shifts a little bit. If you're in the role of the distributor, your client is going to be the wholesaler, and your supplier is the manufacturer. If you decide you want to play the manufacturer role, then your client, I'm sitting here, my client's going to be the distributor, and my supplier is really me. It's my staff. I'm asking them to, hey, make this much beer. And then again, if you're the retailer, if you decide, I don't want to play wholesaler, I want to try something different. For retailer, your supplier, who you're going to get it from or place orders with, is the wholesaler. And then your client, who you're selling to, is going to be the customer, which you don't see on screen. So just imagine people walking through that store door. Okay. So any questions at all about our 4 stages of the supply chain on screen? All right. Okay, what's the purpose of this game, right? The goal, regardless of what role you're in, is to fulfill your client's demand every week. And there is a cost each week. Every time you stock a unit per week, it's 50 cents. And if you have a back order, it costs you double. It costs you $1 per unit per week. And so a back order is when you have a stock out. Someone's placed an order with you, but you don't have enough inventory, so it's back ordered. And so you've got late quantities waiting to be fulfilled. And that costs businesses more because you're expediting things, you're rushing, you're paying top dollar for your beer, among other costs for the business. Now, again, the goal is you want to keep your stocks low and your back orders low in order to reduce your costs. Again, costs in terms of carrying inventory, managing it, making sure it doesn't get stolen or lost or damaged. So businesses have to make decisions on how much to order, and when back orders happen, how do they respond to that? And all of that has a dollar value to it or an impact to your bottom line. Okay. Now, these rules, as you're playing, if you forget, it will be on screen, and there'll be like info or help options that you can click for a reminder, or you can just ask out loud real quick, or type it in the chat, and we'll remind you if you forget some details. Okay. Now, how to play. Every week you're going to see some transactions. You're going to see a screen like this that tells you information about the demand from your client. So again, here I'm the wholesaler, I'm in the middle. I'll see that, oh, my retailer is asking for 4 cases. You've placed an order for 4 previously with your distributor. They're sending 4 in, and you're sending 4 out to the retailer. So these numbers right here will let you know the direction of stuff going on. You also can see what your current stock is and how it changes as you ship things out, and how much it's costing you to run your business for both stock and back ordered items. And then there'll be a quick note that says, yeah, you've got enough stock to fulfill your demand this week, so all's well. But if there happens to be a back order, it'll also tell you, ooh, you do not have enough inventory and you have some back orders. So this information is going to appear. It might feel a little bit overwhelming because there's a lot of information going on at a time, but just keep in mind as we play each round, and I'll give you about a minute. Maybe I'll give you 2 minutes in the first initial rounds as we kind of get settled in. And I'll tell you when, okay, now go ahead and place your order, take a moment and pause, right? So I don't want you rushing through the weeks. I want us to kind of move together through the rounds. Yes, Jordan?
2 questions. Or one, are we playing this? Are we playing the game today?
Yes. Yep. You're
Number
play
2,
for about 5 minutes.
Oh,
Yeah.
number 2, I don't. Number 2, yeah, I don't drink because I'm underage. I'm like 20 years old.
course.
So where would I fit in? Where would I fit in this equation?
Yeah, you don't have to drink to be a seller of beer, right? So you could be working within the supply chain. You could be working at Bevmo placing orders, so you don't have to worry about
Cool.
this is not a BYOB event.
Oh.
So thanks for bringing that up. You do not have to use the products that you are selling or servicing. Again, if you have a back order, you'll see that information on the screen as well, and you'll start to see like a comment in the box that says, "Oh, you only had so much, and you're back ordered." Okay. Now, once that information is ready to go and you're starting to play, a box will show up that asks, "Okay, how many are you going to order?" And again, the details are going to be right here, so you can keep in mind. And you'll go ahead and say, you know what, I want to place 10 cases of beer. So you just type in 10 and hit the order button, and then it kind of gets the ball rolling. Now, the nice thing is your main job is to just place orders for your business. Everything else is automatic. The shipments, the receipts, the math, so you don't have to worry about it. The only math you really have to do is as you're seeing the numbers, you have to decide, do I need to order more or do I need to order less? Or maybe I don't need to order anything at all. And what you'll also notice is specific details, right? Again, the current stock, last week's demand, that might help make you decide, how much should I order? Maybe you notice a pattern over the first couple of weeks, and that'll impact the how much you want to order for the future. This is where you're going to try to approximate or estimate what you might need for the future. Now, the way we're playing this game, you are actually playing against the computer, so only you can see your own situation. So have fun with it, right? Don't worry about someone seeing your results. We will debrief and you can share as much or as little as you want, but really this game is for you to try and test out and just see how the data looks as we begin playing. Now, something to keep in mind too is as you're playing and you've got this window to place your orders, down below, there's also going to be some statistics. So it does keep track of what you've been ordering, what the demand has been, what the shipments have been, and what your costs are. So this is like a big snapshot of what's happening, and that can also help you make decisions if looking at the box up here is not super useful. So there's a graph that kind of charts everything as you go. But just keep in mind, in order to see it, you do have to scroll down. I've noticed like when I play it, sometimes I get caught up in the moment and I forget, and then I forgot that the data was just below the screen and I could have seen the demand as I went. Okay, so. And so if you've taken business stats, which I teach, this is a great way to use those skills. And even if you haven't taken statistics before, the graph is a nice visual, and the visual will tell you, ups and downs, and that is also can help you make decisions too. Okay. All right, let's go ahead. Oops, I need to give you the link. I'm going to drop the link to the game in the chat box. And so you can go ahead and open that on your screen, and then I'll walk you through it. Okay. So once you click on the link, actually, I should probably do it too. Let's see. Doesn't hurt for me to play as well. What you're going to want to do is click on the play the demo option. So it takes a moment. So if you scroll, click on the play beer game demo, because we're all playing for free. Okay, and what you want to do is enter an email. Any email works. They're not going to spam you. So if you've got like a spam email you just send junk to, you can use that. I'm just using my school one. And then make sure to click student, and then you can hit start beer game demo. And it's going to take a moment. It's loading. So go ahead and just activate the game. Now what you'll see is that I think for most folks, and let me know if anyone else saw something different, but the default is wholesaler. And you can put your name, if you want to put a nickname or something else that you're comfortable with, you can definitely do that. And go ahead and hit OK. And what's going to happen is the instructions that I just explained are going to appear again on the screen, but except this time it's very specific. It's going to say, hey, you're a wholesaler, your client's the retailer, your supplier's the distributor, and it just explains exactly what I mentioned before. So you can take a moment to read through these, to get a refresher again, and then just click through. Again, same rules I mentioned in the PowerPoint. You're just seeing it again here on the screen. And reminding you like receipts versus demands and shipment. You can take a look at it, and I'll pause. So at this point, I just want you to stop and read the instructions on your end. If you're having any trouble logging in, let me know. Sometimes it just close out and refresh. Again, you're reading the onboarding instructions, but don't hit start until I say we're playing, right? That way we can all play together on the timer. Okay. Now, if anyone is interested in playing a different role, like you want to try being the retailer, distributor, or manufacturer instead of the wholesaler, the way to change your role is while you're in the onboarding screen, if you just close the X at the top, and you can see here's what the game's going to look like. And I can even let you see what happens, right? Boxes are moving, I'm getting demand, I'm getting a receipt, and I can place my order. But if you hit intro, you can pick a different role. So if you want to play a different role, you can, totally fine. So I'll give you a moment. If you want to play a different role, click intro on the website and then pick a different role to play. And then just take a look at the onboarding instructions, which will be very similar. 50 cents for a stock, $1 for back order. You got a client and a supplier. I'm going to stick to wholesaler.
Can we click start?
Not yet. I just wanted to make sure everyone was ready to go. Anyone have any questions at all before we begin the game?
There are no questions on the chat so far.
Okay. So what I'm actually going to do, because I don't want to confuse you myself, I'm going to stop sharing. And what I'll do is I'm just going to keep time. And I'll say, okay, go ahead and place your order. Look at your data. We're in the next round. And I'll try to keep us on pace from a timing perspective. But again, here, let me just show you. Once I place my order, just picking a number, I'm going to get a screen that shows what's happening. And yeah, I've got enough in stock to fulfill my client. And then if, again, as I mentioned, you scroll down, I can see what's happening in real time. Okay, so keep that in mind. You just might have to scroll a little bit. But I'm going to go ahead and start the timer and go ahead and start playing. So in our first round,
Press start.
hit start. And then you're going to see stuff happening. You'll make some decisions with your order. I feel like we should play music or something. So it's been about 30 seconds. I want you to take a look at the statistics. What happened when you placed your order? Make a decision like, what do I want to do in this next round? And after you've taken a moment to kind of digest what's happening, if you want to go ahead and place your next order for the following week, you can go ahead and do that. And as you place orders, hopefully you're seeing the boxes move along the supply chain. And there's even a see animation again if you want to watch the boxes move again and see the numbers change. So now would be a really good time, if you haven't yet, go ahead and scroll down on your screen to check out the statistics, right? You'll see, at this point, we should be in about week 2. What have you ordered? What does the demand look like? Do you have any back orders yet? In the chart, you can see visuals in bar form and line form and area shaded in terms of the statistics. Using what you see in your statistics, make another decision and go ahead and place an order for your next week. Again, once you've placed your order, everything automatically just moves around. Take a moment to look at the numbers that you're seeing. You can always hit close. And at this point, hopefully, I believe, you should be seeing a message pop up to the right. And I'm going to read it out loud for us. administration is sending a message to you, the distributor or the manufacturer, whatever role you are. Hey, it looks like the retailer is marketing a big promotion this summer, 50% on all light beers. So that's new information that might impact your decision making as it relates to orders. Okay, again, take a look at the data down below in your stats. Think about that new information that we heard about from our retailer, and how many beer cases should you order?
So I didn't see the message pop up.
That's
The
okay.
second message.
I read it out loud. Sometimes it just goes by so fast and we're not seeing it, so that's why I read it out loud. But just know there's a sale going on. Okay.
Where can I find how much I'm making?
So if you look on your screen, you'll look for the cost.
Yes.
So it's not around profit, it's around the cost of doing business. That'll be the focus of this game.
Oh, it's not about
the goal
profit.
is to keep your costs down, because if your costs are low, then in turn your profits will be higher, right?
Okay.
So we should be in about week 4. Again, looking at your data, making some decisions. You can go ahead and place an order in week 4. Again, it's a nice visual when you're seeing the boxes. Do you have enough in stock? Do you need more? And remember, you've been placing orders over several weeks now, and there's a lead time. So depending on how much you've been ordering, those orders will eventually show up in a few weeks, aka a few rounds. All right, so hopefully at this point we should be around week 6, about halfway through. Again, take a look at your data. Take a look at the graph. What are you seeing? What do you want to do in terms of your order?
Oh no, I don't have enough stock to fulfill the demand.
Yeah, that might be the case for some folks. So place your orders. Let's see what's happening in the following week. And again, everybody's game is going to be a little bit different. For some folks, you might have too much in stock. For other folks, you might have just the right amount. And for others, you might be back ordered. I, for instance, have too much inventory. Okay.
Maybe I should order 1,000.
Okay. You might see a message come up at some point like, oh, the temperature is getting warm. The promo seems to be working well. Keep up the good work. We're around week 8 right now. Again, you can continue to place orders. If you feel like, maybe I've ordered too much, maybe I don't need to order any more cases. I can leave it at 0. I can order just 1. I can order 10, whatever number you're thinking of ordering.
How long do I wait? I'm in the negative. I'm in the negative now. I'm in the negative.
Yeah,
40.
so that's where taking a look at your statistics, you got to make some decisions. Are you going to order more to helpfully fulfill those back orders that you're experiencing?
It looks like cost is up through the roof and stock is down. Demand is going up. Demand is at 12.
Your game sounds more interesting than mine for whatever reason.
Demand is at 12.
My costs are very high because I was expecting worse. Okay, so we've got a few minutes to go. You should be around week 10 at this point.
Okay.
Again, continue to play, look at your data.
0. Try ordering 0. Let's see if I try order 0. Let's see.
Order 0. That's what I've been doing the last 3 rounds now.
Let's do 0. Yeah, that's a good strategy. 0. Let's try ordering 0 to wait to give the manufacturers time to create more beers to give them time. Do 0. Oh, do them 0. Yeah, that's a smart idea. That's a really smart idea. It's a smart. Yeah, that's a smart idea.
So go ahead and finish out however many rounds you have left. In general, because we're playing the free demo, it's going to be about 12 rounds. If we were paying the paid version, it's significantly more. So go ahead and play through, and then you'll see a results page. So don't close that out. Keep that open once you get to the results page. And then I'm going to start sharing screen again.
I'm trying. Uh, uh,
And I'll show you what my screen, for instance, looks like. It says, "Hey, you finished. Thanks for trying the free trial." I can download an Excel output, or I can download it as a PDF. But you don't have to download. It's also on screen, so you can just scroll through and look. But I just want to give folks a moment to finish the game if they haven't yet, and make sure that you can see your debriefing. So I just want to check, is anyone still playing, or has everyone gotten to their debrief page?
I got to the debrief page.
Okay, silence means I'm assuming you're at debrief, so we can begin the debriefing. Okay, so take a look at your debrief page, and so what I'd like you to do is, on the debrief page, you're going to see a team performance, because again, you're playing with computers, and then you can also look at your individual performance. So for instance, on my screen, here's the team performance, right? It says the total cost was 610. We had 100% on-time sales. We had this much average stock, and we had 6 out of the 12 weeks on back order. And then if you scroll down into the individual performance, you'll be able to see your I over ordered. So you can see I had the most costs out of the other players, the computer, at 218. Overestimating. I always filled in on time, so I didn't have any back order issues. But then I had excess inventory, and that cost me money to my business as well. So you can see what my average stock was, which was much higher than the other players, and then my average order size or number compared to others as well. So just something to take a look at on your screen. So it'd be great if we can share out. What I'd like you to do is, in the chat, I would like you to enter in your cost, and tell us what role, right? You can put W for wholesaler, D for distributor, M for manufacturer, or R for retailer, just so we have some context. So for instance, I would type in the chat W 218. That was my individual performance from a cost perspective. I did not do too well. I'm curious who got the lowest costs, and that'll be our winner for the day. So far, I think Desiree and Marie are our lowest in the 80s. And I think I'm the highest. No, Jordan, you and I. We'll tie for high. Okay. Now, also to take a look at your data is, what was your on-time sales? Were you able to fulfill, from in a percentage perspective, all of your orders? So go ahead, drop your percentage into the chat. I'm curious. And yes, this is recorded and will get posted. And also, the link's available. You can go in and play this game multiple times on your own. And you can try it out, try different strategies. The game changes, different roles. So hopefully you'll find this interesting enough to try it on your own another day. Okay, so it looks like some decent service, but part of that is a trade-off, right? You might have higher costs, because you had higher inventories in order to have good on-time sales or less back orders, right? So again, take a look at your average stock. What did you tend to have in there? And what was your back order duration, right? So did you have a lot of back orders? Again, the decisions that you make from an order perspective have these different metrics that will allow you to see how well you performed as an organization. Okay, and again, take a look at the different players on your screen. Let's go ahead and scroll down. You can see like everyone's going to look a little bit different, but there'll be a line chart and bar charts that let you compare what was happening. But if you actually scroll down to the stages evolution, you can see the different players in your simulation and what the lines for stock and back order look like versus the orders placed and the cost to your business. So for instance, here, that's me. I had a lot of stock. I placed some high orders pretty evenly, thinking that at some point this summer sales gonna hit, and I didn't have any back orders. Whereas different players might have different visuals that they're seeing in their graphs. And then scrolling further down, you can also see in comparison, well, how did orders by the different players compare to the actual consumer demand? So the consumer demand is the yellow bars that are being purchased at the retail store versus what's happening by each player or stage of the supply chain. Okay, so taking a look at on your screen, what are you noticing about the lines? Do they go up and down like mine, or are they different shaped? What kinds of shapes are you seeing?
Mostly on orders versus final demand, I'm seeing manufacturer, I'm seeing that go down. I'm seeing retailer going up, and I'm seeing final consumer demand stay steady. And on stock versus final demand, I'm seeing wholesaler going down. That was me.
Yeah.
This game. Wow. First time playing this game.
Yeah. So what you're actually seeing in this is known as the bullwhip effect. So when inaccurate forecasts occur, it causes a disruption to the organization and has a ripple effect on the different players within the supply chain. And what this does is this impacts our profits and increases our end cost for the customers eventually. And things that can make this worse is just inaccurate forecasting planning, lack of communication. Imagine if we were all playing this game together on the same, configuration, and we were talking to each other about, hey, I'm seeing this in my customers come into the store, and communicating across the supply chain, we could have better estimates. While we had some visibility, thanks to this cool tool with the graphs and charts, it was still hard to tell what was going to happen. And we had this long lead times of 3 weeks. So perhaps you placed your orders, you're like waiting for stuff to come, and then suddenly all the boxes came all at once. And then there might even be late deliveries. So what I'm going to do, one more example of the bullwhip is if you recall in the early part of the pandemic, in the retail stores, customers suddenly wanted to buy lots of toilet paper. And when that happened, the stocks got emptied and the retailers were like, oh, crap, not literally, figuratively, we need to buy more toilet paper. And so those pieces of data went through the supply chain and created a bullwhip to the point where then our suppliers were, our manufacturers and suppliers were making too much and carrying too much toilet paper. So that is the bullwhip effect in our present day. Now I'm going to throw out a poll. Hopefully, let me know if you can see the poll on screen.
Yeah, we can.
Cool. Now that you've seen the bullwhip effect on our game, and everybody's bullwhip probably looks a little bit differently depending on the way you played, why did you behave or place orders the way that you did? And there are multiple options here. You can pick as many as you like, right? Because it's multiple reasons that you may have ordered the way you did. So I'm just curious, what was motivating our decision making during the game? And then there's a second question, just kind of gauging folks' awareness of supply chain before today's workshop. Just gonna leave the poll open for a little bit longer. About half the folks have answered. I know there's like a lot of options, so you're gonna read through all of them. But I'll give us another moment. The poll will be open for about 2 minutes. About 70% of the class or the group has answered. So I'm gonna go ahead and end the poll, and let's take a look at some of the reasons we might have played the game that we did. Can you guys see the results?
Yeah, we can.
Yeah, and you might have to like expand a little bit. So it looks like some of the top reasons folks ordered the way that they did was they were afraid they didn't have enough stock, and they ordered to keep a safety stock. So you can actually see where some of these reasons are related to each other, right? So when you're concerned about not having enough, you'll order safety. I think, let's see, what else was a common one? My clients suddenly increased their orders. And so you had a response, a reaction to that increase. I did not see that in my version when I was playing it. I'm like, it's been doing it to me all day when it suddenly would say it needed 30 and I only had like 10 in stock. But for whatever reason, when I played this round, it stayed pretty mellow for me. But I'm curious, anyone out there, what was like the biggest client order that you saw on screen at any point of the game?
I had a 25 case order,
At one point? Mm-hmm.
but I started off ordering more and then leveled out at the end.
Gotcha. Let's see. Yeah, folks mentioned, because I don't have visibility, I had to play it safe. Well, sure. The lead time, kind of threw me off, and just curious too about, we have a nice mix of folks here that are familiar or new to supply chain. I'll go ahead and stop sharing. Okay. So now that we've had a chance to play the supply chain or the beer game, here is a more detailed definition from the CCMP. Supply chain management encompasses the planning and management of all activities involved in sourcing and procurement, conversion, and all logistics management activities. It includes coordination and collaboration with channel partners, which could be suppliers, intermediaries, third-party service providers, and customers. So why I like this definition is this is a fuller picture reflective of the beer game we just did, right? The different players, the retailer, distributor, wholesaler, manufacturer, that for this to be, for us to have a better supply chain and better outcome, coordination and collaboration would have been helpful. Like if we were in a classroom and we were playing together, I would have put you in groups of 4. You each would have had a role, and you'd be able to talk to each other about how you want to respond to customer demand. And again, in real world, if you were working in a company, these are all the activities that are going on in different directions. And it makes for a really interesting time at work because every day is a little bit different, but the skills apply at every phase in different industries, in different roles. Okay. So we got 5 minutes. What questions do you have? Curiosities? Hopefully you had an okay time with the game. Sorry if it crapped out on you or if it just wasn't cooperating. You can play it again on your own, but let me know if you got questions, concerns, curiosities.
Yeah, I did. I kind of Yeah, I kind of understand the game. I understood the game. I understood it was a beer game, and it was supposed to teach us about supply chain management, like how to keep up with demand and order enough materials to create enough supplies to meet the consumer demand. I understood that much about the game. But other than that, yeah, when it started turning red, and I was like, oh no, you don't have enough for demand, I just started panicking. Okay, 2, 5, 10. It's emergency, emergency, 2, 5, 10. Nothing, 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 nothing. So, what else?
It's a
So
very delicate cycle because we're so responsive to our clients and what's happening up and down the supply chain. And I'm also curious, like, even if you haven't taken supply chain before, or you have, you are familiar with it, maybe through the news or through your work, what are some strategies that we could implement to improve our supply chain?
higher incentives for people who work more efficiently to produce the raw to procure the raw materials and turn them into the proper supplies, like for example taking flour and turning it into cookie dough, like you said from the example, the Oreo example.
Yeah, so
Higher
like,
incentives.
right. So finding the right talent. Go ahead and share out. You can say it out loud. You can type in the chat. Any ideas that you might have, like if this was a real beer company, or any phase, like what could we do to make it better? And I've already mentioned before, like we could talk to each other. That'd be kind of nice.
Better forecasting.
Better forecasting. Maybe using historical data, looking at year over year seasonal patterns for beer, because there was that hint about the summer sale, right? Yeah, maybe if we had more time, letting you sit with the statistics that you saw on screen in order to arrange a better forecast. Yeah, getting that heads up on those sales. And another thing is like, why do sales happen? Probably because we have too much inventory we got to move, right? So that's called demand shaping, where we are trying to create demand by using marketing promotions. So if you've taken a marketing class, you know about those different ways: buy one, get ones, discounts. Yeah, compare last year's numbers, looking at stats. Yeah, more time to prepare. Incentives, ownership for maintaining supply. And that's really the goal of supply chain management, is to think outside the box, but also look at what has worked in the past and what hasn't, to come up with strategies to respond better to the supply chain. And so the pandemic was a disruption to the supply chain that we were not ready for. And that's why a lot of our supply chains just broke on us. And now companies need good supply chain professionals that have creative ideas and can think big picture in order to keep our supply chains flexible so it doesn't happen again at the next pandemic or the next major disruption. Nate?
Can you hear me okay?
Mhm.
Okay, sorry about my audio. I have a thunderstorm that's messing with my tech here. Students, I just wanted to give you a shout out to please sign in on that sign-in sheet links to make sure you get the extra credit in the course. I'm just going to rattle off some names on folks who are not signed in. Deji, Manuel, Oscar, Genesis, Charles, Alexandria, Aaron, L, Lene,
So I was
Becky.
sorry, Nate, I was checking. Some of them aren't even here. I think they registered, but they didn't show up. I don't know.
Okay, yeah, so I'm assuming those are some absence, but if any of you are hearing your name, Becky, Jay, Ton, make sure you jump in that sign-in sheet so you can get extra credit for your instructor. Thank you.
And so, for instance, I'm going to be playing a very similar simulation in my Intro to Supply Chain class next month. If you end up signing up for the manufacturing class in spring, there's a similar version of the game, but it's called Lean Manufacturing. And like I just played that the other day too. You can, it's on the website if you want to check it out. But it's manufacturing, like painting cars and trucks. So you can actually see what that looks like too. So feel free to play around on that website. If you got questions, you can contact me at ango@miracosta.edu. But thanks for playing today's game. Hopefully it gave you some new insights to supply chain, and see you around campus.
Do you want to post that video link on the chat, Annie? Or
Sure. Or like we can just send out follow
send it out? Okay, yeah, that works.
in case people can't stay. But yes, I'm
Thank you.
Thanks everyone for being here today with us.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank
Have a good night.
Thank you so much.
Bye.
Nate, thanks for jumping in. I'm going to stop the recording. Is that okay?